Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for taking the time out and coming to check out and listen to us at the See What I'm Saying by TTK Art Talk. I want to start the intro with Elliot.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. I know that the last few days have been a little wet outside, and it's the one sunny day, so I'm glad everyone took the time out of this day to come out for the artist talk today. So we're just going to do a quick roll call before we start, and then pass it back to Amon to begin interrogating us a bit. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Elliot Clarke. I'm one of the curators here for the show, the See What I'm Seeing show with TTK. So I am a curator for galleries out of LA with ID Gallery, about 10 years of experience. And I'm sure I'll get into more detail as we kind of have conversation throughout the afternoon.
Yo, what's up, everybody? TTK. I guess the reason why you guys are here. Yeah. So, hope you guys, like the paintings that I made. Yeah, I'm a painter and a designer, and I guess he'll ask me more questions. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Storch. I'm a curator and event coordinator based in New York City, and also for a little over probably 10 years. And this is my first time working with TTK, and it's been amazing. But it's been
Hi everyone, my name is Chevon Drew, and I'm a marketing strategist. I'm an ex-painter, so it's a pleasure to work with TTK always, and I'm happy to be here.
Perfect. Let's just get it started. TTK, for a minute, you went on hiatus as far as painting is concerned, and then out of the blue, you're like, yo, I'm having a show. I'm like, you back at it? What was that ignited you to say, like, yo, it's time to hit the canvas again?
The pandemic just being locked away and being away from everybody, and being the pandemic and being in a different city, because, some people know, some people don't know. I got a job offer in Chicago, like right at the end of 2019, and I left. And then the pandemic happened, and, wow, I'm in a new city, the world is shut down. I started thinking about, like, how many people, who knows when I'm gonna see them again, you know what I'm saying? So I started painting some of these photographs I had already taken, because I wanted to execute, but I just never got around to executing them. So I'm like, you know what? It made me feel closer to these people, and it made me think about, like, what I saw in them. I saw myself in them. That's the reason why I chose to paint them, So and once that ball got rolling again, it's like riding a bike, man. You know what I'm saying?
And so when choosing, everybody in here, every painting in here is somebody that you know.
Yeah.
And the way you titled it, say, like your mom right here, support.
Yeah.
Can you talk about why you painted your mom, and also talk about the styling? Because I know, does mom dress like that, or did you? Okay, so get into that.
She doesn't know what any of that stuff is or whatever. I called her up. I was like, this is like 2020. During the pandemic, I called her up. I'm like, yo, I want you to basically be me. I'm like, I'm basically you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not here without you, you know what I'm saying? So, and I don't want to paint a portrait of myself. I want to paint you as me, you know what I'm saying? Because you created me, you know what I'm saying? You're my first supporter, you know what I'm saying? Even if she didn't understand about art or any of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Whenever I would ask her about supplies, she would get me supplies, you know what I'm saying? If I need to go to, I'd say like, yo, Ma, they got the new Spider-Man Todd McFarlane, I need to get that. She'd take me to go get it, you know what I'm saying? So I think about like that. And even now, I don't really think she understands like what I do or whatever, like as a professional, you just know like, all right, I think he draws pictures or something like that, but she's always supported me, so I was like, yo, what if I draw my mom like kind of cosplay as myself? I was like, yo, I'm gonna mail you these items and everything. When she got the box, she was like, oh, I got the stuff. Like, yeah, this is a cool sweater or whatever. Like, wow, this is nice. It looks expensive. I'm like, yeah, just wear it, and and we my sister-in-law shot the photos with me on FaceTime, and that's how it came to be.
So we're gonna bounce around a lot. I want to talk about the curation. So how does one curate an event that happened. That opening night was absolutely fantastic. I feel like it could check every box from fantastic art to inviting and bringing out incredible people, even the music. How do you approach an event like that?
So about a year ago, I called TTK up, who's been a good friend to me and my family for over a decade now.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah,
20 years. Yeah.
So they don't need to know how we learn. So I called him up and I spoke to him. I said, "Hey, look, I think it's time for you to have a show again." And I did notice, I was looking on his Instagram and I was seeing, I don't know if everyone has been follows TTK sees his everyday illustrations what he hears on the street. So I love those. I've always loved that style, his satirical kind of commentary, and I always loved that about him. So I sat down and spoke to him about it, and that's when he spoke to me about these paintings. And what resonated, and I was like, this is a really good idea, is a lot of artists, they can try to force themselves to create work, but if you're not in the right headspace, you can't produce the best product you possibly can. And for a lot of artists, whether it's a tragedy, that disconnect from the creativity, for TTK, interacting with people every day is his inspiration. That's his muse. Being on the streets, that interaction, whether it's hearing someone, I'm walking down the street with him and he catches someone's fit that he likes and he shoots it and illustrates it. Those are the things that inspire him. So to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, where the pandemic almost killed his creativity, I can see that. But instead of kind of going into that creative depression and spiral, he in turn turned everything into a self-portrait. So he went to find those people and show them that they are the reason for his creativity. So essentially all of these are self-portraits of him, but more from the perspective of the people that inspire him. So when I heard that, that was brilliant. As well as if anyone is familiar with the first volume of See What I'm Saying, is a very big book. I wanted to encapsulate all of that in the perfect art book. So what we did was we kind of wanted to go step by step and reinvigorate everyone, get everyone excited, starting with that every day, showing people that, and as well as a lot of people that are in these paintings, in the illustrations of the books. This is essentially a love letter to New York, is what he's created. And in that love letter, it's in ways he's describing what we all go through. That everyday kind of the dredge of going through New York and walking through it and hearing crazy shit, pardon my language, crazy stuff you hear on the train, or feeling that disconnect during the pandemic. And I saw that all encapsulated, as well as I've known him for forever. And if anyone knows, he's deeply rooted in hip hop and sci-fi and things like that. So when we were talking about it and kind of mulling this over, I wanted this to be almost an early retrospective of what got TTK to this point. So it's a combination of his sci-fi inspiration, his love of hip hop, getting Large Professor and DJ Essence to come out, his love of illustrative and kind of those art scenes, using that in the book and things like that. So it was a encapsulation of all the things that inspired me from the art sense and the personal sense, and it really came together very strong.
Hello. So I don't know TTK as long, but we've known of each other for a while. And so when he had wanted to sit down with me about working on this show with him and Elliot, I was definitely interested. I've been a fan of yours already for a very long time. I think he is a great artist, and so I was definitely interested. But you know, working with artists is partially about their skill, and it's about who they are and where they want to go as artists. And you know, once I talked to TTK, not even after the meeting, but they had shown me a little write-up, and I was like, I'm gonna ask him some questions. And I know he does. I'm like, I'm gonna call you and ask you some questions. And his answers were just like so beautiful, and everything you'd ever want to hear from like an artist in terms of, you know, not having any kind of like trying to stay still in a comfort zone, and just being so selfless. You know, he's done really incredible things, and every, you know, advancement he makes, his thing is not to be like, Pat, here, it's like, how can I help other people and show them they can do this too? And I was like, nah, that's what you see in these works. You know, he's a very, like, reserved person in one way. And to me, you know, you might not, like, say everything, but these works are more powerful than anything you could say. And so I think as much as you're like, this is me, I also think like this is your like messages to these people.
Yeah.
And I think not to like drone on too long, the really incredible thing is I think the most important thing I've learned for any craft is like universality through specificity. And a lot of people think if you do what people recognize or you say something that like everyone will jump on, like, oh, like I love that chair. And it means nothing. But if you're like, I had a chair when I was growing up and you describe it, you didn't have a chair like that, but now you're thinking of the chair you grew up. And you did paintings of your friends and you did paintings of your mom and your daughter. And people want to buy these paintings. That doesn't usually happen a lot. And it's just a testament to who you are and how in being so pure in your intention with these, that you allow people to connect with them and they tell stories. Like, that's not my mom, but I know the love you put into that. I know my relationship with my mom. That painting makes me emotional. It makes me think about my mom, you know? And that ability, that purity that you go about everything you do is what makes you so special, because you're so versatile. But at the same time, if you look, there's commonalities. And the commonality is the same one who does these little, you know, here it's conversation, and to him it's art. And then he takes it and he thinks, you know it's art. Something you never would have thought was art before. And with these, it's like these are just people in his life wearing things that we all wear. And no, it's so special, just like those conversations. And so no matter what it seems, the purity that you go about what you're doing, you can recognize it's you. And that is the testament of a great artist. Sorry. Sorry.
TTK, can you just break down how you approach the crew painting, the very first painting, the piece that Chevon has on?
Oh, all right. So this at the time before these items were like retro by like Ralph, you know, like people didn't know me and those that don't know me, like, you know, I hang with a crew like low lifes or whatever, and, you know, it's all about who got the most and who can rock it the best, you know? So at the time, when I've always had this idea, I thought about like, you know, in the early, you know, when people would actually meet up to go, we all gonna, when people were like, yo, I'm gonna wear the same outfit and we're gonna take a photo together. You don't really see that anymore, but I thought about like that, you know, I was like, I wanna recreate that, but with my Stormtrooper characters, like my love for like sci-fi. So I reached out to like, you know, guys that I knew that still had these pieces. And I was like, I shot all of them individually, different poses, and if, you know, they had no clue what the hell I was gonna do, you know? I shot them all individually. That's a combination, I think, of maybe, I think like 1, 2, 4 guys, but they were all shot individually, you know, and I just kind of shot them all together, and I was like, all right, and I posed them as if they were with a group of people, and then I just meshed it all together, and, you know, I painted it or whatnot, man. And at the time, my man Safe, he's the guy that's in the red. The guy that's sitting down is my man Steve, who's actually the guy in that orange painting. That's Steve. Steve was the model for that painting right there. And Just Blaze loaned me that jacket. It's funny because I went over his house to drop off, he bought a painting. I went over his house to drop off a painting. And I was like, yo, Just, you got, I knew he had it, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, Just, you got such and such, I want to use it for a painting. He's like, yeah, come on. And he pulls it out. And he was like, be careful with it. I'm like, I got you or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
How long did it take for you to get that jacket back?
It took it, you know, I held on to it, hoping that he would forget it. Yo, I held on to it, hoping that he would forget it, you know? So 2 years later, 2 years, almost 3 years later, out the blue, he calls me when I'm at work. He's like, yo, you still got that jacket? I'm like, yeah, of course I still got it. He's like, yo, I need it. Like, they're about to come to my house to do like a filming of me. I'm like, oh God. So I had to leave work, because I couldn't tell, I had to leave work, go back to Brooklyn, dig it out, then give it to his guy and go back to work or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, and they didn't even use it in the footage.
No, he just needed the jacket back. It's like, let's get that back ASAP.
You never saw that photo shoot, did you?
I mean, oh yeah, it was for his documentary that he was in, you know, but that wasn't in the footage though, whatever.
Yeah. What I loved about the night, especially the opening night, everybody was so stylish. Everybody, I mean, including myself, like I have a pair of Air Max 95s that I was like, yo, let me just put these shits on only because I know I'm coming to see you. And it was raining. I only wore them things like 3 times, but when I got here, I was like, everybody had that piece on that meant the most to them. And then on top of that, it was so many people having this like a family affair. Like they hadn't seen each other. Did you know that this was going on? Because I know you was working in the room.
It's a blur.
But I was like sitting back like this, and people was like, yo, yeah. I mean, it just happened. Just saw Benny, and they was like, yeah. So that happened like at least 100 times that night. Can you talk about how you brought all these walks of life, all these different walks of life, and all these creatives that you've basically met throughout your path that normally wouldn't have come out and not in such numbers?
I think for me, I learned something from like everybody, and I think when people give me their time, I value that. You know what I'm saying? I try to value that. You know, I try, and I try to. I don't think I try to do anything or whatever. Like as far as like personality-wise, I just be myself. But I try to make whatever interactions that we have, somewhat memorable or whatever. And I don't know. It's just me. I really can't explain it. But I think, getting the people in the room, it's all people that I respect, and it's like sort of like these paintings. And like I said in the documentary I directed, how I said I'm a piece of Julian who's in the room right here, because I learned from these guys, whether they know it or not. And I think maybe it's a competitive thing that's in my head or whatever, where I'm like, all right, I want when they see my work to be like, yeah, like he took what I gave him and ran with it, you know what I'm saying? And like, I guess want to make people proud, not even trying to like satisfy other people, but like, you know what, I value what you gave to me, and this is money giving it back to you, you know what I'm saying? So,
You did that.
Well, it's also a testament to what you built as well. So
Yeah.
if you think about it, it's a. Oh, sorry.
Like I was saying, it's a testament to what he built. So I'm going to expedite this real quick so we can move on to the next question. So it's people have been waiting to come outside to support you is the thing. And I always joke around with him. Every time I walk down the street, there's someone else that runs into him, and then he tells me who they are.
Yep.
It's the CEO of Gap. What the fuck? Why do you know that? So, but it's a testament. People have been waiting. So same way with artists, a lot of times, and this is it's the sad reality. This is a thankless industry. A lot of artists and creatives, you create stuff and you don't know if anyone's gonna like it. And a lot of times it's if you don't hit a red dot on something or you see a contemporary in music and stuff like that, you don't know their journey, but you're so fixated in hoping people are appreciating it and loving it. And how do I get new people? And I look at it more, instead of finding new people, you have an audience that you've cultivated. You need to focus on them because they'll thank you for pitting out that work. And why wouldn't someone want to brag about this great artist that they are representing? And it's more of a case of, these are people that are along for the journey. I've been selling art for close to a decade, things from $5,000, $10,000. I have artists that are in museums, moved on to big galleries. And every collector that I've had, they've all been thankful and they've all trusted the process. They never ask, oh, why isn't it 3 times it was yesterday? Or, oh, what is this guy doing for me now? They're just happy to be along for the ride. You have a bunch of people who've been waiting to get back on the train. So that's more of a testament to what you've been able to cultivate and create through your career and things like that. So you gave people a reason to come outside.
In previous conversations, especially when we had recently, you expressed like your support and that push. And I wanted to talk to you, Chevon, about that push, because even that night, there were times where I would just see you in the background, making sure things were on point, or even like, hey, do this, like you was, and the trust that you have for one another to be able to make sure that things are done in high regard. Can you kind of go into that science?
I guess I left out in my little intro that I'm also TTK's partner he tells me 10 years. I don't count. I just say, I love you. It's going good. I won't count it. I just get to work. But yeah, I would say support-wise, the same beauty and spirit that Kate described, the same tenacity and respect that you hear in Elliot's voice for TTK. It's like a reverence almost. It's gonna sound corny because I am in love with this person here, but I truly do believe that he's a special person. I got a call from his mom the day after the opening, early in the morning. Hey, are you awake? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I want to thank you because I can see the love you have for my son yet again. Like, she knew the outfit that he was wearing was like curated by myself, but focused on what does he want to wear and feel good in. And it was just like all the work that I did with this team, I felt like she validated it in that moment because she's who I seek to please half the time. It's like, I want to take care, of your son and your partners for your son. So with his artwork, a lot of the times, like Elliot said, in Chicago, it was pretty tough to be in a pandemic in a city you're not from without support, like the beautiful faces here that many of whom truly love him and we had no access to. So when he started painting, he also made a film. I don't mean to make him sound like a Superman, but like, I don't understand how he's doing it all. Like, I know I'm helping, but even with helping, the way that he keeps his spirit right and learning that painting is a way for him to keep it right, I take that lesson and I use it to support everything that he's doing. So the fact that I studied art and switched to marketing, he benefits from all of it. Because I'm like, you're the painter I never was gonna be. Because I got obsessed when I realized you could also do marketing to promote painters so that more people see Black painters. So I feel like part of it is like a love mission and part of it is more of a strategic mission where I'm like, I know you want to do that, but the priority is this. And I hope that in every moment that I'm working toward the goal that he really wants for himself. And that's what I help him to crystallize over time. What is it that you want? Where do you see yourself? And then I just work like a squirrel. That's what you were describing.
Yeah.
To help get him.
You articulated way better than I could.
So yeah.
I want to get into your technique as far as like your photographs. So when you look at this piece right here, the perspective of this falling, or even the one with Cam in the red piece where she's jumping through the clouds and this with Simone flying. Can you talk about how you approach this with photography? Because I really love the story of the one in the park with Cam, but just break it down.
I find, my subject, like who I like, or I feel like, okay, I think you'll look good in this right here. I want you to wear this item or whatever. Or if you have personal style, like, they have certain items I like, yo, come to the shoot and wear that right there. And then I'm like, all right, we're gonna do a lot of posing and stuff like that, man. I might take a few head-on shots first. I'm like, now it's time for the hard stuff or whatever. Time to stretch, I usually basically just pose them like, I'm like, yo, we're gonna sit in the chair, we're gonna lean this chair back, we're gonna put your leg up, I'm gonna pull your arm back or whatever, and I need you to hold that pose.
Is that what's happening here?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a big guy. Like he was like when he came to the house in like the pose, he was like, oh my God, I did not know. He sweaty. He was sweaty. He's like, yo, you got me using muscles I haven't used in forever. You know what I'm saying?
And he had on the Moab?
Yo, I purposely told him that's my guy. He runs the Instagram account No Ideas Original, and we became very, very close friends because our paths in life are very similar. We just went down different roads, but it's still parallel. But I told him, he had a photo of him in like that North Face and with the Nike Moabs on. I was like, yo, I want to paint that right there. You know what I'm saying? But I want to paint it my way, So I told him to come by. He came by the house one morning. I'm like, all right, time to get busy. You know what I'm saying? So that was that.
He had no idea you would be doing
Oh,
that.
absolutely not. I think everybody is like always happy. Like, oh, you want to use me for a project? I'm like, yeah, but we're gonna do a lot of crazy stuff.
A lot of yoga.
Yeah, or sometimes we're gonna do something silly, like my man Mike, who's in the crowd, Michael Tuco, who's in the zine for Tuco and Tuco, the ad, Like I called him up one morning where I'm like, yo, you're gonna be a lawyer in my upcoming art book. You're gonna be a lawyer, and you're gonna have a law firm called Tuco and Tuco, because I was like, yo, you can't spell Tuco without TTK. That's a little Easter egg right there, But yeah, I'm just happy that I have people in my life that help me bring these crazy ideas to life, man. And surreal ideas, and that are like kind of comic booky and like anime-ish, Yeah.
So the last question I want to ask each of you, from this experience, what has been the most important lesson that you've learned from working together as a team and creating this experience for all of us with all the work?
What have I learned?
Yep.
I still got it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was probably it, because it's been a minute, and I never doubt that my skill fell off or anything like that. But it's like, yo, will the people still will, it's sort of like Mitch in Paid in Full, like, will they still love me if I step away? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm thankful for that. The people came out and supported, you know what I'm saying? And we got red dots on the wall, yeah, very happy,
Well, this is actually one of the best team experiences like I've ever had. I mean, we're all workers. So, sometimes, you feel like carrying a weight of, nobody was carrying. I felt like everyone was really trying to do what they could. And, with teamwork, people can lose sight of the goal. And nobody here lost sight of the goal. The goal was about TTK, about getting these works out there, about making sure they were received and shown right. And, I think due to that, it really was a success. And I also think, really thinking about TTK today, and even these paintings and how they're in the clouds, when there's a lot of artists, like I said, this kind of draw to it fast, but, they get good at something and they get comfortable. And not this show, but if you span TTK's whole career, which is decades, he has never gotten comfortable. He has consistently challenged himself and done different things. And when you pair that with the kind of natural ability you have, like, there is no limit. And I love that these paintings are in the clouds that actually feel like it reflects like where you're going right now. And I think this show, like this exhibit, like totally demonstrated your skill and the support that you have and the support that is there for you to have. Because a lot of people were also introduced to you and were so blown away. So I just think this was the start of something really great. And I'm so honored to be a part of it. I'm so happy to work with all of you. And like I said, when I first spoke to you, I was like, I'm in for like the show, but I was more like, I'm in. You got my TTK, like what you need. Like I will always support you. I love what you're about and I love what you do. Great.
Always make me emotional before you pass it. I think one of the big things I learned is how to maybe go with the flow when you have like a short span of time to do something. So going with the flow meaning like learning how to work with folks that maybe just met them. How can you figure it out to make sure that you do get to the goal, which the goal is about this thing in the middle. That's one of the big things. The other thing is that, I think Elliot touched on this, that sometimes people are waiting for you. And they're not harassing you, because that would be annoying. But they are out there, that same audience that you built, the relationships you built. And if you were to produce and say, I need your help, or I need you to attend, they are waiting to support you. And this was really a testament to that, because we are just literally gonna touch a year being back from Chicago for 3 years. And the people that came out stunned me. I saw people when I worked in tech startups doing marketing that I haven't seen these people in over 10 years. And they're like, no, I've been on the list wondering what's been going on. I'm here. I want to see TTK's work. So that's one of the big things I learned is that your audience, they love you, they're waiting for you, and I think that's maybe another lesson that we maybe taught all of us in whatever creative endeavors that we have out here.
These are some phenomenal answers.
Two things, actually. One, first thing I learned is appreciation for these two young ladies. So, full disclosure, behind the scenes, I'm a nightmare to deal with. I'm a crazy control freak. I lose my mind. I'm a nutcase. But both of them have done nothing but phenomenal things. Fucking done more than I could have imagined, and things better than I ever could. So I've learned a tremendous appreciation for the level of skill that Chevon has, and how meticulous she is, and very, very detail oriented. And even she's taught me a lot of things and gotten me out of my own way to provide for this. As well as Kate, a lot of pivoting that she's done and kind of workshopping and rebuilding things and adding her expertise. Because I'm not in New York anymore. I've been out in New York for 3 years, so I don't know what the New York street art scene or whatever the case may be. So she was my conduit back into that. She was the person that was really in charge and really important for that. So the biggest thing I learned from this is the appreciation for both of them. And I thank you guys tremendously, publicly and privately, for all the work you've done. And the second thing, it's not so much what I've learned, but I hope everyone learns, whoever's watching this, the recap for this or the people that are here as a creator. Consistency is key. Whether it's posting something every day that you create, whether it's getting your artwork out there. I've gone to studio visits of artists and they'll have their magnus opus they prepared for me, that this work that they worked on for 6 months, like 15 paintings, and they have this big presentation. But it's the thing in the corner that they have hidden behind something that I always notice that that's the thing. And their reasoning is, I don't want to show that, I'm saving it. What are you saving it for? It's the only way you'll get discovered is keep showing. I have artists, Nathaniel Merrick, one of the biggest artists out of Chicago. He started late in his career and he was discovered in a group show in Brooklyn by a Pace gallerist. And he sells works for millions of dollars with Gagosian and things like that. Whether it's a cafe, Instagram, DIY is the key. Whatever it is, it's key to be consistent and cultivate that audience and just keep making it work. Because at the end of the day, instead of looking for an audience will find you. And if you resonate with the work, I'm 110% sure there's at least one other person on this planet that will resonate with that. And it's at least one other person, then you're doing the right thing as a creator. So to reiterate that, that is what TTK has done for the last 10 years, 20 years, however you want to put it. Longer than that. However you want to put it, whether it's from painting to digital to the film, back to digital from his books. Whatever he wants to do, he's created that consistency. So when there is a layoff, people are anticipating. So never stop creating stuff. Early this year, and the gentleman is here, early this year we were looking at spaces, and one of the spaces, coincidentally, was a gentleman who went to his first show, that was TTK, and that inspired him to open his shop in Brooklyn. Him to reinvigorate his paintings. So much so, I went last night, there was an event that my younger brother, who was a music producer, was holding with his friends, and guess what the spot was he was renting? From that gentleman, I was inspired from him. And that level of consistency creates more creativity in the world. So do not get detoured. The numbers don't, pardon my language, fucking matter. They're not real. There are people that are following and watching and are consistently waiting for you. So consistent to you, be true to what you want to do. Follow your gut. TTK has followed his gut, whether it's for the Stormtrooper works, whether it's the self-portraits for his family, whether it's the zines, his graphics documentary, or even the things that we're working on for next year, LA. There's consistency. So for any creative, whatever it's music, fashion, fine art, whatever it is, consistency, and if you build it, they will come. You've all come to this because we have built it, because he has built it. So keep that consistency. The proof is in the pudding here for that.
Amen. That's it. We want to thank you again. Do you want to do questions or anything like that? Anybody got a question? Oh, here we go. Off top.
I was curious about the work on the left, the choice of the poses. Are they specifically related to the individuals? Do they speak about that specific person, or was it a composition?
A lot of times, yeah, it has to do something with the people, like something that I saw in them that I related to, Whereas like the one where, all right, I'll take for instance like the one with the woman in the dress with the magenta and the green. I was just telling I think Audrey, I was telling you about it, about how one night Chevon came home, he's like, yo, I saw this girl at this bar that has a look, I know you like it. You should paint, I wish I got her information. I was like, well, I ain't see her, so why you telling me, So, yeah. Yo, so fast forward about like, I don't know, a week or so later, she was there. And I was like, yo, you look fly, you know what I'm saying? And Chevon was like, yo, that's the girl. And we just kind of hit it off, and I was like, yo, I want to paint you, And she was like, all right, cool. And then she didn't live too far from me. And then, we just started talking. I thought about like how, at the time, man, I think I was just, transitioning like to being a civilian again from coming, doing like 10 years in the Navy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure life out, you know what I'm saying? And she was telling me like how she was trying to kind of figure life out with her photography, but she's like, I'm gonna be free or whatever like that. And she, and that's why like, all right. And I shot her like in multiple poses. It looked like she's flying or whatever. And that's that right there. That's kind of how that came to be. I tell you the poses and we just kind of improvise and go with the flow from there,
And to Elliot's point, thank you. She's a creative, and I think that's what I was seeing when I met her out. It was at a hip hop event, and I was like, you just have a glow. She's like, oh, well, I'm a photographer. At a point, he photographed her on the roof. She was just amazing. And then we did visit her studio, and she just had this beautiful studio. There's a photo that I took of TTK that I set him up in some of her studio area to look like a king blowing a cigar, kind of. And it turned out to be like one of the photos that we really enjoyed. I think you ended up turning it into some type of thing.
Which photo?
I won't go too far into detail. I'll just say this. When Elliot said that to continue creating is to help more creativity appear in the world, I think he actually inspired her because she was a little bit, how he said you can get in a valley with your creativity, and working with him in the studio visit really got her excited about her own work again as well. So salute to you.
We got one.
Yeah, I have a question. As an artist, since you have so much detail, so many pieces, one thing that I struggle with myself is I tend to focus mainly on so much detail that I kind of like to gravitate towards working on like more than one piece at a time. Is that something that helps you, or do you like to finish the piece before you progress to the next one, or how many pieces do you work with at a time?
I bounce between digital and traditional, so while paint is drying, I go over to the computer and start designing some stuff. Like I usually don't bounce between, like, not to say I can't, I stick to one painting and I focus in on that right there, you know what I'm saying? To get, for me, the best results or whatever, and I try to, I don't know if I put myself on a timeline, but I just focus on getting the best out of it. And I don't rush myself. I might work on it for a little bit, come back and look at it with fresh eyes, you know what I'm saying? Because the times in the past, I would stay up all night or two to like just knock out a piece, and then when I look back at it, I'm like, man, I could have probably, if I took, some time off or whatever and come back to it, I would have saw something that I would have executed slightly different, So that's what works for me, you know what I'm saying? I pace myself with it, and once I get the ball rolling or whatever, and I'll say this right here, every piece I start off with, it's like starting all over again. I tell myself, how am I gonna do this? Like, as if I can't do it, you know what I'm saying? But maybe, I look at him like, how am I gonna do this? I'm like, well, Chevon's like, of course you can do it. What are you talking about? You've done it a ton of times before, but I guess maybe it's the competitiveness, and with me personally, like trying to one up myself. So, but I just like go with the flow, knock a little bit out this day, and just keep going at it. And next thing you know, it's done. On to the next one, So don't beat yourself up about it, man. Like you do what works for you, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get it done, you're gonna get the results that you want.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback real quick on what you were saying. You gotta find a style that works for you. There is no perfect style. You gotta think about it. I'll use a bit of art history real quick. So they used to say that Matisse painted like a wild bull. That was an insult back then. Or when Picasso started to change his style because he was originally a portrait painter, people rejected that. A lot of the guys in the art history that we know, they were the bad boys of art, believe it or not. These guys were the ones when they first came out that was radically different. Warhol, he made mass production of screen printing. That was a marketing tool, advertising tool. That wasn't used for fine art. So, and then you have guys like Chevon Drew using stencil work. And then you have an artist such as B.D. White who pushes the stencil medium past that, where you usually for stencil art it should be 5 layers. He's going up to 100 layers to get that realism. There is no rhyme or reason to this. You have to go at your own pace and creativity. And a lot of times artists fixate on kind of making the perfect piece, and they get to the end and you think you can make it more perfect. And there is no more perfect. And I've seen a lot of artists who can paint hyper realistically. They can have that technical ability, but they're more challenged and more excited about painting about like a child. So it's all about finding what flows with you. You just gotta keep trying things. I tell artists all the time, what you're painting now, in 10 years, you're gonna hate it. Not saying it's not good work, but the artist that you are today isn't gonna be the same guy that you're gonna be in 10 years or 20 years. You're constantly progressing, so don't beat like you said, don't beat yourself up on it. You've gotta try things. You see what sticks in. Social media is kind of the biggest market research you can do. If you get 1,000 likes on one thing, all right, you got to hit with that. You got to go with your gut with what works. So you just got to keep trying things. You will find the thing that will hit, and you will know what it is.
What kind of photography do you do? I mean, what kind of camera do you use?
Samsung Galaxy S5.
The question, what kind of camera?
I just, before, I would get, like my Nikon, and then once phone cameras started getting better, I'm like, wow, I don't need to pull out this equipment, I can get as much, all I need is the reference, you know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily try to go for like, because I'm just using these photos for reference, just to, see what I can go with, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, whatever I can use, I've always been able to do more with less. So if I have a little pocket 35 millimeter, a little digital one, I'll use that. If I need something with a lens, I can use that. If I got the phone, I'll use that. Whatever I can do to capture, to get what I need to take it to the next level, Yeah.
I have a question. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing to you. You really taught me a lesson today. They say that your mother-in-law spoke to you. I don't know if it's your mother-in-law, but his mother.
That's what I would call it.
That she spoke to you and gave you validation. I think I'm going to use that. I like that idea of giving somebody like you, who's her son. I have a son too.
Yeah.
So
And I think when I look at him, he's like, I want to do X, Y, or Z, and I'm feeling anxious about it. I don't know if I can do it. And also, I get a call from Elliot. He's like, I want to give you extra tips on how to motivate an artist in a short time span. Like, give it to me.
Well, that was a secret. He wasn't
I know all my ways of doing it, but Elliot, this is your profession. Give me some more.
you're the wind under his wing.
Right. And so one of the ways I use is that when I look at him, I see his mom's face. He's not kidding, She made this guy, got him all the art materials for his life, and he's a special guy because of her. So I try to remember that when he looks at me and says, Chevon, I feel anxious. This canvas is blank and I need to fill it. I don't think I can do it. And I'm like, according to Elliot and your mom, whose face I'm looking at in your face, you can do everything that you want to do. And you have done everything that you want to do. And you will continue. And then he's like, you're right. Let me go get the paint. So thank you.
Act like I shouldn't say it because that was really nice, but I was thinking, I wanted to find out whether this might be a good opportunity, if there was any chance of a TTK Audrey Shilley collaboration. So I just wanted to plant that seed right here, right now, because I've been thinking about it the whole day, so I think a lot of people want to see that, so I just wanted to put it out there on this rare occasion.
I'll say this right here. A show I did some years ago, Just Blaze came to the show, and that's how we met. And he was like, yo, you should meet Audrey Show. I was like, who's that? He's like, oh man, you're gonna love her. She did the, illustrations for Ralph for all these years. I'm like, okay. And I emailed her years ago, and she emailed me back, and she was like, yo, you should meet my son, Matt. And we've been messaging each other for years and everything like that, man. So we're finally under the same roof, so thank you for coming out, yeah.
I love how you name drop. It's so great. Yeah, Just Blaze and Audrey Show.
These are just my, I'm just thankful to just know these people or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And my son is a big fan.
Thank you, yeah. Oh, who's okay. Okay, so Safe is in the red. Steve is the guy standing up to the far right. That's Steve who's with the orange background. That's him. That's him sitting down right there. That's Dave, this guy named Dave Labels at the bottom sitting down. And the two guys, the guy on the far left and the guy in the middle, that's my guy, the other guy, that's my guy Dre. So yeah.
And this is me, Eco.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
So we're going to close it out. We want to say thank you for your time, but I'm going to let Elliot say some final words. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Close us out.
Thanks for everyone coming out today. I know that this was a very short run show, but obviously this is just the beginning of a lot of great things we're going to be doing with TTK. I'm very, very excited. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. And people didn't want to get Thursday. I told this story, and I'm going to make it real quick. 18 years old, wasn't going to school, was dejected in Queens. My sister gave me $5. Told you to go to a show down here in Chambers Street with my man TTK. And I saw a bunch of artwork that really resonated with me, really set me on the path that I'm on now. And whatever success that I've mounted, it is directly connected to him from that night, believe it or not. So I really appreciate when it's come out. I know the weather's been sucky and we have a beautiful day today. So I don't hold anyone up, but I know a lot of people want to have some time to get more granular details about the work with TTK. We'll be hanging around for a little bit, talk, chat, and things like that. We have a little bit of merch left. And we're just gonna hang out for a little bit and chat, have those personal conversations. So we'll all be around for that. And once again, thank you. It's been before we wrap up. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Phenomenal interview he did with TTK a few weeks ago, leading into the show. It was brilliant. You guys should definitely check it out, like New York said. Whenever this comes out, definitely. And follow him just in general. He's a phenomenal writer, reporter, journalist in the art space. He's doing really great work with the artists that he chooses to spotlight. So anyone that wants to talk to him or find out how to follow him, you definitely should, because he's doing some really special things in the art world with very special people that you all should be paying attention to. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.